all. Nice to see you here.
Hello all. As usual, we are going to wait a few minutes before we start to give a chance to the latecomers to arrive. So we'll start in 2 minutes. Okay, so I guess it's time for us to start. Eric, can you hear us?
Hi, Pascal, I can hear you. I'm not sure. Yeah, so Eric said yes, it works now.
Hello, Alexander.
Hello.
I saw Eric saying no audio. Oh, okay, it was now. Okay. So, Alex, do you want to do the run?
Oh, no, go ahead, and then I will take from at some point.
Okay, so this is the fourth interim for 2024 for the SCHC working group. We actually skipped some, so it's really the second. So the 12 of the IETF applies as usual. So if you're aware of any IPR that applies to things being discussed and that was not announced, please mention it now or tell the chairs after the meeting, or refrain from exposing that IPR at all. Again, if you have any issues with harassment, there is this team, the Onbus team, that you can contact with the URL that is on the page. And please be aware of all the other best practices as well. So that the meeting today will mostly cover the 6 law SCHC discussion, and before that we'll present the status, in particular the pending adoptions, and the OAM ICMP call that we want to start as well. So, Alex, do you want it, or I can do it?
Go ahead. I just don't. I have a point on the OM, the OAM ICMP call. But yes, go ahead with the other. Yes.
Okay, so we launched a call for adopting the draft IETF in Teria SCHC, and the mailing list confirmed that we wanted to work on this document in this group. So we confirmed today before you that the document is adopted, and we'll ask the authors to change to republish as draft IETF-SCHC as opposed to draft IETF Interim. And then, Alex, if you want to discuss the OAM.
Yes, thank you. Actually, so here I have a question here. So I see Laurent coming in the queue, but I just want to first say my question, and then Laurent will give you the word. So basically, the point is that we had a lot of positive feedback on the mailing list, and basically everyone said yes, we should adopt it. The first point was that the title should be a lot of the input was that the title should be changed to ICMP to be a little bit more specific. So I get the feeling that was like confirmed on the mailing list. But then the question for me, and this is a question for Eric and for Pascal and for the rest of the working group, is that I get the feeling that it is not unanimous that the action part should be part of the document as of today. So should I request that the authors just submit it as is, and and then that's that's the easy way, and then we discuss later on like to remove eventually action or to change it or to keep it, or should we discuss that before it gets submitted as draft IETF SCHC? So I see Eric coming. So Eric, please, and then Laurent.
Yes, so basically when we adopt a draft, and the -00 should contain what has been adopted. Now with a couple of change, right, of course, but basically the framework that has been adopted should be there, then we can augment it. But the best way is always to adopt a document whose framework is mostly finished, but we know it's a dream, of course, right? I understand it's a yes and no answer, right? Réponse de Normand in French.
Do we keep AOM title, or?
I think this one could be changed, right?
Okay.
And it should be changed. No, I don't remember the point about action, to be honest, Alex.
Okay, so action is that when you do a comparison and your rule is selected, you apply some actions, so some
Okay, so it
elements.
was not about the draft itself. It was on a section in the draft. There's a column in
It's
the
a
table.
section. So yes, so the question is, do we keep action because action is very useful for proxy ping, or do we do something just with normal ping compression, and then we create something that is for action, which is more generic? But the risk is that if we do that, we create more documents and we have things everywhere instead of having, for example, a single young data model that introduces this. And so my answer to the list was, we can discuss during the, personally, I prefer to have one document, even if it takes longer to produce it, than to have some different documents with very little things on it.
I mean, and again, it's not really so much a concern as an AD there, but what you just said, Laurent, seems common sense. And without being an expert on the domain, obviously, I would think and would follow you on this one.
Okay.
Okay.
At least we agree to publish as 00 exactly what we have, and then we change the title and we can continue the discussion on action. But for now, it makes sense to keep the text as it is.
Okay.
Indeed.
Okay. So just for me to wrap up, I will send an email for confirmation of the both of these drafts, but I will specifically put in for the OAM draft that it should be submitted by, but the title should be changed, and that we have noted that there is a discussion ongoing on the part about action, and that we expect that discussion to continue. When after the document has been submitted as a working group item. So as a chair, we are not putting any kind of a decision of, okay, that should be there or shouldn't be there. Like we allow this discussion to continue. This is the way I get it. And hopefully, of course, we'll get to a consensus where people will say, yeah, of course that should be here. It doesn't make sense to have a separate document.
Since we have this discussion with Eric, you sent the chairs an email saying that you want to have this usual discussion we have prior to IETF, but SCHC is not meeting at the next IETF. So do you still want to have this discussion, or do we skip it for the SCHC working group?
I will put it a low priority in all my requests. I mean, this is between the three of us, right? So simply to synchronize. So nothing secret really there for the other people in the call here. I would prioritize low, and we can have this call even after the IETF, because that's what link.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Eric.
Yes, and then just directly on the next page, Pascal. So that was basically the big action points from the last time, and actually we had like a couple of discussions with people on the mailing list, like point-to-point discussions or in presence, and at some point also we said, okay, I mean, something became a little bit apparent to me that I wanted to make a short refresher of the different documents that we have ongoing, and to see who is working on what document and who is waiting on whom, and just to try to get like a little bit eventually, how can I say, update the milestones if we have to, because I get that I think that some of the things people are waiting for the architecture to evolve, and some of the things the architecture is waiting for other documents to evolve. So this is why I wanted to take this time, because right now we have a little bit of time, around 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just to go over the different documents and say, hey, well, here I'm working on that, and I'm not waiting for the architecture for any of that, or hey, this really need something to be solved in the architecture, because it's a little bit like a loop here. So if you are okay with that, I'd like to go and proceed, and just see with the people that are here, of course. So I put in the notes, or as though something that in the note-taking tool, there are like I've put the different drafts that are listed, and I just want to go over that and see, okay, how are you feeling with the evolution of that document? Do you expect any big evolutions, and what are the big next steps for you in your mind? And just to be a little bit, to go on the easy side, start with the from the top to the bottom. And so the first one is so the SCHC access control. So I think it's Laurent and Anna working on that document. Maybe I'm missing someone. So do you have any? How do you feel about the document? Is it complete? What are the next steps for you? Are you waiting for something on the architecture? Aha, a check and mate. Check and mate. Laurent, Anna. Yes, Anna.
Okay, did you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
I think that for access control, we are waiting a little bit for the architecture to have to put the correct terminology, and next steps will be to agree about um, the modifications we can do, the updates we can do in the rules. You see what I mean? The last discussion about which fields in which field ID in the rule may or may not be updated, and the permission we have in each field ID to do that.
And now we are in this sort of loop that Alex was talking about, where the architecture needs access control to progress, and access control needs the architecture. So in fact, they don't need for the same reason. The architecture is needed because, as you said, there is some terminology to be defined, but the architecture will also have a paragraph or two to explain how access control works. But for that, we need access control to have progressed.
Yeah.
So the point is, could you share with us on the mailing list maybe what terms you're looking for? I mean, we need to publish Architecture 02 very soon. I mean, we know it. So if you could, start this thread on the SCHC mailing list about the terms, then we would update architecture and publish that.
Of course.
We could also prepare a placeholder for describing access control, but yeah, we can cut that chicken and egg problem because it's just terms that we need to define in the architecture.
Yes, perfect. Laurent?
Yes, I think this document is not totally mature. It means that we need to work more on it about how we manage, as Anna says, the right, who is allowed to do this on that field, and all these need more discussions. But it's a good starting point.
Okay. Okay. So it needs more discussion, more input. I would say ideally input from people that that would be deploying it. So so yeah, probably at some point we'll need to get down more a bit on that particular topic. Okay, so let's stop here with the access control. Thank you very much, Laurent and Anna. So we have like the next action point for Anna to send the mail on the mailing list. In the architecture, we'll create a section on the access control, and we'll try to to bootstrap the to cut somewhere the loop. So next point, the next one is the SCHC 8824. So Marco is here. That's great. I'm not sure if you'll be able to. Also,
I think it's Zulip user. It's not.
yes. Okay. So okay. Well, probably we'll ask you. I will ask him next time to to say if he's waiting up on something on the architecture, or how he sees the draft.
I've never heard that there is anything like that, right? I mean, it looks like a standalone project.
Yes. Laurent, Anna, do you know if there are any? Anna is. Yes, please, Anna.
I think that the last time we discussed this draft was more about the difference we made between the 8824 and this update, where, if I remember well, there are some inputs in the how do you call it, the IETF reviewers. And I don't know if they are agree or not. We didn't receive any answer after we reviewed the draft, if they are closed or they are updated or.
Okay. So you provided already some input to the reviewers, but you have not heard back.
Yeah, I remember there were 7 points open or something like that, and we answered to them, and we didn't receive any of. I don't have any back.
Okay.
So I don't know if we are waiting for that or we are waiting for something else.
Okay. So probably then, if you could see with Marco, I mean between the authors, if you are waiting on someone and ping them, just to get the thing going.
Okay.
But it's good that we have no dependency on the architecture, right? Okay. So next on the list is the architecture. So we had some discussions and some ideas of eventually evolving the structure of the document, but then we decided, hey, well, at this stage that we are, it's basically okay, but we still know that we have a lot of work to do there. So Pascal, Anna, anyone on the list, do you have any idea? Okay, so Anna again, so please, Anna.
I'm sorry because I didn't work on the last things I have to change. I promised to send a new version in the GitHub, and I didn't do it, so I have to do that.
Okay, so it was about what the changes that you had
about the terminology and the new things we were discussing with Laurent.
Okay.
Yes, we basically there are 3 things, if I remember well. One of them is there were some terms being defined in the original 8724 or something, like context, which we wanted to kind of clean up and redefine and clean up, and be and architecture would be the place where the real terminology is defined, and then because we modify a little bit the way it was used in the original RFC, we need some words to explain that. So that's one piece. Then there might be some new words that and I want to put in there. So that's the terminology piece. Then there is the piece about how you can do nested SCHC. Remember all the discussions we had since 20 years ago, since July, with Laurent in particular, and discussions which have been presented several times in this interim. We need to kind of explain the architecture that SCHC can be recursive, like you can compress something and then something else, and you need a SCHC header. And the SCHC header has pretty much the same compressed abstraction, but the bits are never the same, because the profile that you're using to compress might be different. So we have to show how you can play this nested SCHC. So that's the second piece in the architecture. And then probably for the after, we also need all those pieces to explain how you deploy SCHC, how you set up the context on both ends, how you provision, etc. That's related to probably access control. But I thought there was another document also about, maybe we have not written it, but we discussed it, how we push things on both ends, whether it's peer-to-peer or whether there is one application side and one device side. So how do we provision everything?
So just one thing. So Laurent has something to say. Laurent, if I can just interject, so because what Pascal said is actually quite important. You know, how you set up the context, how you deploy SCHC. Actually, we have a milestone that is a rules discovery and parameters negotiation. So it's not exactly how do you deploy SCHC and how you set up the context, but it's a little bit.
It is very related, because the rule discovery, the rule and parameters. The parameters are basically things which you will apply on top of the rules to get the bits.
Yes.
that you use to do the transformation. For example, the IP address might not be in the rules; it's $IP or something, and then you have to take as parameter $IP and apply it in the rule, and now you've got the instantiated rule that you can use, right? It's kind of, so that's the step. And so again, there's a chicken and egg. Do we want the document that the architecture says later how it works, or do we want to write something in the architecture that says, hey, we expect it to work like this. Now we work on it, and then we revise the architecture once we've done it, if we kind of diverge a little bit from the original idea.
Yeah. So a very short answer to that is, because we don't have yet a document that actually writes how these things would work, probably we should move on with the architecture and say, well, we don't have a document, so the way we see it probably should be like this. And then
we can be very high level for now.
Yes, very high level. Yeah.
Something for access control, we can have 2 paragraphs just as a placeholder to say, hey, so some rules might be changed, who can change it, what you can change, has to be defined, and that's the purpose of this access control document or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Then when we know better, we'll put more text.
Yes, perfect. Okay. Yes, agreed. Yes, and to Laurent.
Yeah, the first one is so SCHC header enters into the architecture, or do we have to do another document? Personally, I think it's more in SCHC architecture, but
I think SCHC architecture must discuss the structure that you have presented several times, Laurent, and provide at least basic information that goes into the header in form, not in bits, obviously, but in form of a list. Anyway, the real bits don't exist, as you pointed out, because it's always compressed. So it's more like what kind of information is found there.
So yes, I'm in favor to put it in architecture. The second point, in the list, I don't see the codes for SCHC in Ethernet and IP and port number. So Bob's draft is not listed.
Okay, so I have a short answer to that. Actually, I tried
to get a SCHC document.
I tried adding both this document and Sergio's document to this list, because we can add them manually, but the data tracker site is not broke, so I get an internal server error, and the people from the IETF tools, they wrote an email just before the meeting and saying, hey, well, we saw that there is some bug with our site for your working group, so please stop trying and wait for the update of the draft. So the draft of the data tracker. But yes, I mean,
okay. No, it's on your radar. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's on the radar. Yes. Okay, thank you, Eric. So it's on the radar, and I think that that it was actually, if you see it's in the notes, it's in the notes IETF.org, like in the note taking tool, there is an item about this. Right. So actually, what I would say is that given that we have quite a lot of items, actually at least three milestones that are dependent on the SCHC architecture, plus all the other discussions, probably we should try to make like a designer team meetings a little bit more often to get the ball rolling. Because I mean, I don't think it's like a unsurmountable thing, but if we don't start writing stuff, it will not get written by itself, right? So probably we can find a time slot for that.
So do you want to go through the list of all the documents, or do you want us to write a little bit in the minutes? Because that's what I did, because it's the half of the hour and we wanted to talk about 6 law. So it's your call.
Oh, so just want let's go a little bit over. No, let's continue. I mean, it's I probably not. Yeah, let's continue with the list, right? Because it was just to get the things. So this is the architecture. Then we have a PPP.
So PPP is expired, and I have nothing new to write in it, so I could just refresh it for a number. But the point is, it is an excellent example of the discussion that Laurent had about recursion of SCHC header and what you compress with it. It's also an excellent example of peer-to-peer SCHC as opposed to client and application, to device application. So it's kind of a laboratory for both things. There is a possibility which is written there, but really the architecture has to be agreed, and these things should follow the architecture. So publishing one is not a problem. Agreeing on what the architecture is that this document should follow. Is it okay the way it's done? Should we change it because the architecture is different? For instance, the PPP header contains, after the PPP header, you will have some bytes which talk about the compression, which are very similar to the SCHC header. They are not exactly a SCHC header because some pieces are not needed. Like the SCHC header is like a list of things that, and in this list, in this case, you need this, in this other case, you need that. And the compression makes it so that in the end, you kind of, when you expand, you get everything. But in the air, some of things are highlighted because they are well-known, obvious. And so in the PPP case, what is written is the header is not compressed, and you have only the fields that you want, and not the ones you don't want. But you could call that a compression. I mean, a SCHC rule could generate that. So I just don't know if I need to remove completely the bits and just say, okay, there are the values in the SCHC header which are defined in the architecture. This value is well known, it's that. This other value will be passed, etc. And I just say that, but I don't provide any bits and bytes. If I don't provide any bits and bytes, some people might be troubled. So maybe the way is to say, hey, I provide the information listed, and I provide also the rules. If I provide the rules, I end up with the bits and bytes. Because I say this is written as this is written as that. At the end, I have exactly the bits and bytes. So that's pretty much where I am in this world. I mean, it's consistent, but we have to find the right way of saying what you're seeing in the draft is this, right? Is it bits and bytes? Is it the consequences of applying some rules with some well-known fields because PPP does not need them? And there is the uncompressed thing, PAN. it could be the way of doing it.
Mhm.
But basically, to your point, I'm mostly waiting for the architecture to express, hey, you've got the SCHC header, which is compressed, then you've got the data, and I can turn the PPP text into a variation, into saying, hey, that's what it is. But the result of the rules could be the bits in those places, because that's exactly what you get.
Okay. Okay, then we can do that in the like as an input for the architecture. Okay. So we talked about the OAM draft. Edgar is not here to tell us more about the zero energy devices. Anna, I'm not sure if you have any news about expected update on this draft.
No, I have no information. I don't know.
Okay, so we'll see how that goes. So I'll try to, and then we'll have the flow compression. Yes,
Yeah.
Anna?
In this case, I'm waiting for the action description in the ICMP draft, and of course update the terminology with architecture, but that's the second part.
Okay.
And the other thing, you are missing the seat allocation draft.
Okay. So good. So
Sorry.
that's I'll need to add this one. Okay. Okay. So that is done. Then Sergio, do you have anything to tell about to say about the streaming drafts?
Well, actually, yes. Well, we are being talking together, right, to try to see if there is a collaboration there with the stuff that you presented the last meeting. And actually, I hope to present a new version in a couple of weeks' time of the SCHC streaming, considering the fragmentation also, not only on fragmented package as now, but also fragmentation with probably two different methods and probably change terminology there on terms of how the D tag is used and probably have another field to manage the cycles. So yeah, we are restarting the work there, and I hope that in a couple of weeks we have a new version of the document.
Okay. Yes. Well, perfect. Well, I mean that's what I'll be waiting that with great pleasure. Yes, we exchanged some. We discussed a little bit that. I mean, I'm super interested in that draft and fully supporting it. And as I said, the presentation that I did last time is really aimed at, getting this draft moving. So I'm very happy that you're here, Sergio, and with Carles, and that you're working for us all.
Thanks.
Yes. So with this, we did the review of the drafts, and we can then give we can move to the next presentation. So Pascal, can you give can you switch the slides to the? Or maybe
Yes. Let me do that. Okay, Carles, do you want me to pass you the ball?
No, it's me that will present, and you can keep the.
I keep the ball, and you tell me next slide.
Yes.
Okay, we can.
So today with Carles, we would like to present to you what we have started working. Going forward with the use of SCHC in syslaw networks and all the inputs we have received in the syslaw mailing list. So next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So the syslaw draft covers three different modes: the tunnel mode, the straightforward mode, and the pointer-based route over mode. And we have received many inputs about this pointer-based route over that we call PRO. And as I showed you in the first figure in the right, the CSLR routers does not know SCHC. They don't know the rules, they don't know SCHC, they don't know decompress ni compress. They only pass the packets. So these routers needs to know the destination address and the hop limit. And the other thing that we have received from as input is that we need to use perhaps the context of the different contexts in the syslog networks. So in the figure down below, I show how this dispatch in the syslog header is done for the pointer-based router. So in the pointer base we have next slide you will see it. We have a pointer that gives you the where to start reading the information in the rule. So next slide, please, Pascal. So here is the information that we put in the dispatch. We have a bit for CID to know if we have the destination context next for bits or not. Then we have a bit for hop limit. Then we have the bit pointer. The bit pointer is a distance after this dispatch where it will show where to start reading the hop limit in this case. And the address length gives the number of bits you have to read for the destination address. So working with Carles, we see that we need to, for example, to put the destination address just next to the hop limit. And today in SCHC, in the rule, we have described the device and application addresses, and we use the direction to know who is destination and who is source. And with syslog, we think we need a special rule that we identify as a syslog rule to see if it's possible to get the destination address just next to the hop limit. So this is in the inverse the order of the field IDs. Instead of having source address and destination address, having destination address and then source address. So the bit pointer will point to the hop limit where the hop limit is shown, and then it will reach the hop limit and then the destination address. Do you have a question, Lauren?
Yes, I have a comment. Is that it's possible in SCHC not to put the field description in the same order as in the packet. It doesn't matter. You have to match everything, and so it's not a problem. It is not in a good order. The only difference is that the residue will be put differently, and I think it's not a problem to make the up limit close to the destination address.
Okay, so that's not a problem. Okay. And the second point we want to discuss is about the
Just one point. Actually, it's a very interesting thing what Laurent said. So I never thought about it. Probably, I mean, I don't remember if it was written in any way in the in 8724. Did we write it explicitly that you can change the order of the fields?
No, I don't think so.
I think I think in the 8724 we say that we have to keep the order, but that's not really important. I have to check.
I'm thinking in terms of implementation, right? Because we can, I mean, yes, we can say, yeah, it's easy to do that, but if the implementers have already done some kind of encoding, I mean, I'm not sure about that. Yes, Pascal.
I'm just curious. I mean, the order at the end, you're taking a binary, which is the packet. You're passing it through rules, so you have to expect things in the order of the original packet.
No, normally what you have first is a parser. So the parser creates an abstract representation of the rule, and then you apply the compression to the abstract representation of the rule. So here the order is not important. Now, if you have
So
optimization,
if you first parse IP, I understand, and that's when you need a draft which is specialized on IP because you first parse every field. And I understand that if you first parse every field, then, as you say, we're okay. The generic, the Quentin-Lampin version of it, which is completely independent of IP or CoAP or whatever, just takes the bits as they come. You don't have this. That's the major difference between what he wants to do and what you've done.
yes, but
Is
that's normally not. If you SCHC is not doing compression on bits, it make compression on fields.
yeah, that's well.
Yeah, but
That's why I was asking if we need to define a special rule for syslaw, saying that at the end you have inverted destination and source address. So your parser know that the rule syslaw is not as any other rule.
You can do that, or you can do another trick, which is to use the 6-law routing header form first. So you take your IPv6 packet, you turn it into 6-law RH, and once you've done 6-law RH, the first thing that comes is the destination. That's the absolute first thing. So prom is gone.
Okay.
So that since we are talking about 6-law running 6-law RH before SCHC is not absurd.
Yeah, but the syslr is only the routers that doing that.
No,
Your device also
6-law RH is a way to compress a 6-law packet which has encapsulations and stuff. It compresses IP in IP. It compresses the RPI in REPL. It compresses a number of things. But the trick is really that it changes the order of the fields, effectively, as we are saying here, in the IP header or in the routing header, because the expectation in 6-law, if you have a mesh, is you have a routing header of sort, a route over mesh. Well, the 6-law RH makes it so that the next destination is the first thing you find. Then the next. I mean, it's basically the routing header, the destination, the IP header, and then the routing header, which is listed to start with when you use 6-law RH. So the most basic way of doing it could be to effectively have no encapsulation and just start with the destination. I mean, I'm just saying that's something we could be looking at before we make decisions.
So yes, hello.
We never discussed. I'm just throwing that on the table.
So Carlos said we also need to take header overhead into account, and his mic is not working. Yes, Laurent, you wanted to say something? Laurent? Oh, we cannot hear you.
Sorry, I got my mic. So yes, and my feeling is that in that case, we will have to restrict the way we create SCHC rules for 6-law. This means that we cannot do anything. For example, you show that up limit is in 4 or 8 bytes, 8 bits. So it means that it's not possible to do over compression or some. So
I'm just talking after with the whole limit.
Okay, but I think it's good for this specific case to say, okay, you cannot do all the possibility in Chick. You will not have maybe the best compression, but it's something that is relatively good for 6-flow networks.
Okay, and just one micro question. Can we, so probably we should take that to the mailing list to see if the order if any implementation is expecting order preserving in Chic, and otherwise, can we imagine like a draft that says that you can do permutations of the fields, like that says, okay, well, here you have stuff and they move around before you apply the 8724. Probably too complex for that use case. Anyway. Yes, Anna.
Yes. Okay. And then the second point was about the hub limit. Then the first idea that comes to our mind was to put 4 bits and 8 bits to compress the value of the hub limit. So small networks and big networks, if you want, and you can represent all the values. But next slide, please. But then we see that the compression was not optimal, and we start thinking about something else. But here I showed two possible solutions where we can represent the values that Cislo use, 1, 16, 64, and 255, but you cannot count all the numbers. All the numbers are not represented. The first one is divide the value of the hub limit in 2, put the 4 LSB bits in the send bits in the rule, and the bit in the dispatch will give you the MSB bits. So you will have an average header of hub limit of 5 bits, but you have only some ranges of numbers that can be represented. And you don't have 64, you have 240 that is so big as 255. So I don't know if it's useful or not. And the second idea was to inverse, instead of putting the LSB in the residue, to put the MSB in the residue, and to put in the bit in the dispatch. So you will get the 64 value, because the residue will give you 0100, and you will get the bit with 00 in the LSB in the dispatch. So, but again, you don't get, or you don't not represent all the values to count down the routers you pass. So with Carlos, we think that we want to present you the different things we were working about that, and we think that the best solution is what we put in the other slide of 4 and 8 bits. Even if the compression is not optimal, perhaps it's the most simple, and we can represent all the values. Yes, Ron?
Yes, for up limit, the thing is that you are decrementing it each time you cross a router. So you have to make the decrementation, I think, quite easy. If you have to look at several places, it will be quite complex to manage. And for me, the first solution is the simpler, and you just in the worst, because I don't know, maybe you have two kind of help 6-flow networks. One very small one where you don't have more than 15 ops, and the others. And I think it's covered well.
Yeah, that was we discussed with Carles, and so perhaps could not be 4 and 8, because 4 is 15 and it's very small, but it could be 5 and 8, then it would be 32 and 255. I don't know, something like that instead. Of course, we agree with you about making the countdown very easy. So That's all what we want to present and see what
Thank you.
was your opinion about that.
Okay.
Mm.
Uh,
Thank you.
well, I mean, we need to. Yes, Laurent.
Yes, one question. It's about the destination address. For me, it's not clear in which part of the address we are doing the forwarding. Is it on the interface ID? For example, when you are in a single 6LO network where you have the same prefix everywhere and you want to reach another node in this network? Or do we forward on the prefix because we want to leave the 6LO router and we go to another network? So maybe it's something we has to be integrated in.
I think it's when you go out of your local network, when you go to another prefix. No.
Okay, so it's really on the prefix that you do the routing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Anna. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for yes. So Carlos on the chat. So good feedback, Laurent. Thanks. Yes, the simplicity of 4 bits and 8 bits is good, but the routing also be within the 6LO pan. Okay, so time is we're almost at the time at the top of the hour. So just one last point is that there was this idea to have a common meeting between 6LO and SCHC. So a common interim meeting. So not IETF meeting, interim, not so yeah, virtual interim meeting. So probably we'll try to organize this after the IETF, the next IETF, and you know, if I think we have quite an interesting things to discuss together, right? And we'll be organizing this with Carlos. So if you have anything to, you know, if you have ideas or specific requirements or requests, do not hesitate about this. Yes, Anna?
Well, I think that for the draft of SysLaw and Chick with SysLaw, we have to update the straightforward mode with the new architecture.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, well then.
So it will be great to discuss with the Chick working group all about the different modes and the
Yes,
solutions.
okay. Well, probably we'll need to have like announce it a month ahead or something like this. So probably you'll need. I mean, you can synchronize with Carlos when you think you'll be able to work on that, so that we can try to find the correct time slot. And I see that Laurent is getting excited about the order of the fields. So good, but Laurent, if you think it's good to send an email to the mailing list about this, then go ahead. You know, if not, we can. Yes, we might. So Carlos is right. We might need to add something new explicitly in the draft about the order of the fields. Yes. So good. I hope that you have some like. Yes. So thank you, Ivan. Thank you all. Take care and see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, joder. Because I was getting a message from Miteco, permission denied, but I guess it's like not real.
Creo que llegaste al final.
Vaya. Bueno, mejor porque ya estaba a punto de mandar un mensaje a Miteco con la captura de pantalla y vaya, en fin. Bueno, mejor así porque significa que no hay problema realmente.
Sí, perfecto.
Vale. Bueno, ha estado bien todo el feedback y vamos a ver si, bueno, cómo concretamos ya pues la actualización.
Sí, perfecto.
Gracias.
Ok, que estés bien. Bye.
Igualmente, gracias.